Following the car crash, I decided to feign amnesia as a playful gesture for my husband and son. Suddenly, my son's eyes sparkled with a trace of happiness, and he guided the woman who stood outside the ward-in toward me. "Auntie, my parents and I have come to visit the patient," he announced. Ethan, my husband, remained silent in response to his son's greeting. "Auntie, my parents and I are here to see the patient." The baby's sweet voice resonated through the ward. With a bandage covering my forehead, I glanced down at my 5-year-old son Lucas, who held one bandage in each hand, a mischievous grin playing on his face. Ethan, dressed in a suit and tie, showed no signs of correcting his son's statement, but looked at me with a questioning expression. The woman led by Lucas wore a long white dress, exuding elegance and gentleness. She appeared slightly flustered when I met her gaze, tucking her hair behind her ears. Noticing me staring at Claire, Lucas positioned himself protectively in front of Grace, acting as a vigilant guardian. If I truly had amnesia, I would genuinely believe that the people before me were a loving family of 3. Lucas tugged at Ethan's hand and whispered, "Dad, since Mom doesn't remember, can you and Dad get a divorce?" Though Lucas spoke softly, he controlled his voice so I could clearly hear him. I recognized his little schemes. He was punishing me for a few words I had said to him the day before, causing him to lose face in front of the servants. This was Lucas's typical prank, and he enjoyed seeing me reprimanded. However, I no longer wished to engage in his games. By claiming to have lost my memory, I intended to act as if there was no son or husband. "Excuse me, who are you?" I responded. Lucas looked momentarily surprised and a bit panicked. "Don't you remember me? You can't possibly forget me. I'm your favorite child." Ethan frowned, his clear eyes turning cold and his voice growing impatient. "Naomi, stop pretending. The doctor said it was just a mild concussion, nothing serious. Don't think you can avoid a divorce just because you've lost your memory. Stop acting like you love us so much. How could you forget us?" Lucas's stern gaze mirrored Ethan's, and a headache began to form. Before I could respond, the nurse knocked on the door. "The patient needs to rest. Please leave if you're not necessary." Ethan and Lucas led Claire out without a word. The nurse then approached me saying, "Your husband just arrived and is going out to buy you some porridge." Confused, I replied, "Husband? Didn't you just send him away?" The nurse nodded. "Yes, I was in the obstetrics and gynecology department 4 years ago and saw you several times. You're so beautiful. It's hard to forget. I did have a prenatal checkup here 4 years ago, but Ethan never came to accompany me. Your husband is one of the few people who didn't spend the entire time on his phone. He was anxiously waiting at the door for you to finish your checkup. He's tall, handsome, and very attentive and loyal. We nurses believe in love. By the way, who are the two of you?" "They're handsome, but their faces look as stern as debt collectors." I couldn't help but laugh. Ethan had never attended any of the 14 prenatal checkups. The person who accompanied me was Ian, my younger brother, 5 years my junior. He was only 18 at the time. I didn't explain the relationships between Ethan, Lucas, and me, as we would soon have no connection. Shortly after, Ian came in, panting with a lunchbox. I was already hungry, having not eaten all day, and my stomach was aching. Ian quickly opened the porridge and placed it on a small table, neatly arranging the spoon, napkin, and water cup. "This is warm water, and here are your favorite preserved eggs and lean meat porridge. Eat first. I'll peel the eggs for you." I gratefully accepted his care. Since Ian was brought back by my grandfather when I was 15, he had become my most loyal helper. After a few spoonfuls, my stomach ache began to subside. Looking up, I saw Ian's eyes were red. "You don't know. I was terrified when I heard about your car accident." His lips trembled, and his voice cracked slightly. A surge of sourness hit me. Who wouldn't fear a car accident? I was simply fortunate and unharmed. I worried that Ethan and Lucas would be distressed, so I decided to pretend amnesia to tease them. But how could a heartless person be concerned about me? A few days after being discharged, I insisted to the doctor that only Ethan and Lucas were remembered, forgetting everything else. The doctor informed Ethan that my amnesia was temporary, caused by the concussion, and I would gradually recover my memory. Returning home with Ethan, beautiful piano music filled the living room as Claire and Lucas performed a duet. Claire gave a thumbs up, praising our little pianist. "He's really amazing. You taught him well." A picture of a loving mother and devoted son, I walked upstairs without changing my expression. When Lucas saw me, His smile vanished. Claire quickly stood up. "Naomi, how are you?" I stood on the stairs and nodded. "I'm almost well. You can continue. I don't dislike Claire, I just envy her. Claire isn't the third party in my marriage with Ethan. She is Ethan's unforgettable first love. Although Ethan and I are married, the saying holds true. A third party is someone not truly loved. When Ethan was 18, in the prime of his youth, I witnessed him fall passionately in love for the first time. Last month, Wentz declared bankruptcy, forcing Claire to return home. She used all her savings to cover Wentz's debts, but struggled to find a well-paying job in China as a music major. Ethan found her and asked her to be Lucas's piano teacher, offering $600,000 a month. New mother is so nice. I love new mother the most, Lucas exclaimed loudly in the living room. Lucas, don't call me that anymore, Claire responded awkwardly. Lucas seemed dissatisfied with her address and affectionately hugged her thigh. If you call me Lucas again, I'll be angry. You should call me Lucas, baby. You're much gentler than my mother. I like you the most. He glanced upstairs and saw I hadn't emerged yet. Can you live in my house? I want to see you as soon as I wake up. My father has agreed. Why don't you move in? My house is luxurious. You can have whatever you want. Ethan had actually offered Claire to live with us. There were many rooms, so she wouldn't need to move around, especially since she was now penniless. However, Claire insisted on renting a place outside and declined Ethan's offer. Lucas, baby, you should keep practicing today's piano piece. Lucas shook his head, determined to let her stay at home. Are you afraid of my mother? Don't worry, my father and I will protect you. She listens to my father and won't do anything to you. Lucas is my son. He's very smart and knows exactly what to say to hurt me. I put on my pearl earrings and slowly walked out. See me coming downstairs, Claire. She looked a bit embarrassed. Naomi, it's okay. You can stay here. I know it takes you 3 hours to take the bus every day. I brought you shoes from the servant, so you don't have to feel burdened. I'm also very happy that you could come back. Lucas was a bit surprised and stunned. In the past, if Dad called out Claire's name when he was drunk, Mom would cry with red eyes. Claire's visit to our house last month wasn't the first time Lucas and Claire met. He had secretly seen the carefully preserved photos of women in Dad's drawer, along with the names of others. When he was drunk, he muttered about them, leading him to seek the perfect way to punish Mom. But now, that strategy was ineffective. I want to eat ice cream. Bring me 2. No, I want 10. The only response was the sound of me closing the door. He looked disheveled every day during the hospitalization. He was finally released from the hospital and needed to visit the beauty salon for skincare. The driver had been waiting outside for quite some time. Inside, Lucas masked his emotions and announced, "Master, the ice cream has arrived." The servant quickly retrieved it from the refrigerator. Whoever wanted some, he casually dropped the ice cream onto the ground. He fixed his gaze on the closed door, wondering if his mother had truly forgotten him. Grace, Ethan's mother, was aware that Claire had returned to China and that Ethan had requested her to become Lucas's piano teacher. Consequently, she hurried over carrying several bags of luxury items. Seated on the sofa, the elegant lady held Claire's hand and said, "Claire, dear, you've endured so much. If you had stayed with Ethan from the start, he would have managed the one family, and your family wouldn't have gone bankrupt now." Claire felt a surge of panic. "Auntie, you can't say the past is unchangeable. Now that Ethan is offering me a job, I'm truly grateful. There's nothing left to say. I'm relieved to leave Lucas in your care." Grace smiled contentedly. "Ethan is planning to divorce. Did you know? He wants to proceed as soon as you return. Doesn't this mean anything? Don't worry, Lee and Jojo holds you in high regard. You won't be mistreated in our family, and Ethan will help turn your family's fortunes around." Grace hadn't instructed me to entertain her upon her arrival. Even though she knew I was at home, she was tactful and didn't come out to disrupt us by reminiscing about the past. Not only Ethan, but Lucas also developed feelings for Claire, and Grace was equally fond of her. Before Ethan and I were married, Grace had hoped Claire would become her daughter-in-law. Claire hailed from a scholarly family, making her a suitable match for the Pei family. It so happened that Ethan fell for Claire at first sight, which delighted Grace even more, prompting her to start planning a marriage alliance between the two families. However, Claire did not reciprocate Ethan's feelings. She firmly rejected his confession and went abroad to continue her music studies. Although Grace felt a tinge of regret, she admired Claire for her ideas and aspirations, viewing me as someone born into a modest family, vain, and eager for wealth and glory, someone who would do anything to marry Ethan. It became clear that Grace actually despised me and even harbored hatred, but her good upbringing prevented her from showing it overtly. Sometimes, I wondered if things would have ended happily for everyone if Claire and Ethan had married from the beginning. My phone buzzed, and I checked the message. The insurance compensation from the last car accident had arrived. I thought this would help me gradually forget the accident day out of fear. However, when I closed my eyes, everything felt like it happened just yesterday. It had been raining heavily that day on the highway. Someone called Ethan, and I clearly heard the voice on the other end say, "Ethan, a group of debt collectors is going to the one family to cause trouble. They plan to target the eldest daughter." Ethan glanced at me sideways. I knew he wasn't seeking my permission, but informing me that he was heading to the one family. Since our current direction was opposite to theirs, I whispered, "Please drop me off at the next service area. I'll take a taxi back on my own." As soon as I exited the car, I was drenched, despite quickly opening my umbrella. A black Bentley sped past, splashing water all over my face, reigniting my old, neglected feelings on a rainy day. However, the car I was in lost control on the highway because it was old. The moment it skidded, my body went numb, and I hastily fastened my seatbelt in the back seat. My heart raced, and my mind went blank as my head slammed against the car window. During the violent impact, time seemed to slow. My mind involuntarily replayed memories from the first half of my life, all centered around Ethan. When I was 10, my parents, determined, took me to purchase a villa in Beijing's most affluent area, where I met Ethan. They insisted I must please him, calling him the Prince of Beijing's social circles. Ethan was strikingly handsome, and I eagerly played with him, following him around for 7 years. By 17, it seemed I liked Ethan, but he despised me. I loved him deeply for a year, earning the nickname Clown Sister as people in his circle mocked me. At 18, Ethan fell for Claire. I watched him pursue Claire relentlessly, and after their breakup, he sank into depression. When I was 21, Ethan, drunk, forced himself on me, repeatedly mentioning Claire's name. I should have resisted and slapped him, but my hand hesitated. My father's company was struggling financially and needed a significant sum, and being with Ethan was my parents' and my own wish for over a decade. I endured silently as Ethan tormented me, always mentioning Claire's name. Our affair eventually became known to Ethan's grandfather. The Pei family was very traditional, and he insisted Ethan marry me. I achieved my goal and married Ethan. By 22, I was pregnant, facing severe morning sickness and a difficult delivery. Memory became a tangled pain. When I regained consciousness, I was in the hospital ward, feeling unwell with a splitting headache. At 27, my son called Claire Mom in front of me, and my husband complied. I pretended not to care, but countless moments of pain overwhelmed me. The person I was unwilling to lose seemed to anticipate my early departure. I chose silence, perhaps believing happiness wasn't meant for me. Would you speak ill of someone you love? I wanted to confront Ethan and Lucas, but seeing Claire, I realized I already knew the answer. Ethan fell for Claire instantly, and Lucas also took a liking to her at first sight. This was Lucas's first time showing affection for someone else. People tend to stick with what they recognize instantly. Lucas was increasingly like his father in appearance, personality, and interests. They both liked Claire. I never considered Claire a third party because from that night on, I had taken something that belonged to her. The reason for people's suffering is often their pursuit of the wrong things. I believed our marriage had reached its end, and it was time to return Ethan and Lucas to Claire. In reality, Ethan had drafted the divorce papers on the day Claire returned. He had long wanted to divorce to pursue Claire as he desired. I informed the Pei family lawyer and went to Ethan's company together. I agreed to the divorce and looked at him calmly. Ethan seemed a bit surprised. Lawyer Zhang handed each of us a divorce agreement. I quickly signed mine. Ethan hesitated before signing, his fingers turning white as he held the pen. Lawyer Zhang paused and said, "Ethan, you can sign after you've thought it over." "I understand how Ethan feels," I added. "Maybe you'll develop feelings for a dog, and I've been devoted to him for 16 years. Lucas belongs to me." He looked at me uncertainly. I nodded. "I don't want either of them." He gazed deeply into my eyes again, trying to elicit sadness, grief, and reluctance from me, but I remained composed. Frustrated, he clenched the pen and signed his name angrily. I merely focused on reading the property division document and left Ethan's office feeling very satisfied. In the empty, quiet office, Lawyer Jung shivered, sensing the cold aura emanating from Ethan. "Ethan, do you want to announce your divorce to your wife?" he asked. "No, she's just throwing a tantrum," Ethan replied. After saying this, Ethan seemed to console himself, and his frown softened. "Don't let it show. Madame will return on her own. She just lost her memory and forgot about me and Lucas. She loves me and Lucas so much that she will remember soon. The doctor said her memory loss is only temporary. When she recalls, she will definitely come back crying and begging to reunite. This divorce is a punishment for her completely forgetting us. When she returns crying and apologizing, I will forgive her and remarry her." Ethan's gloomy demeanor instantly vanished as he took a sip of the coffee on the table. Lawyer Jung was sweating profusely and reached for a tissue to wipe the sweat from his forehead. The divorce papers had been finalized and the assets were split. Madame was merely having a fit. As I was about to leave, I anticipated feeling heartbroken since this had been my home for 6 years. Instead, I experienced a sense of liberation, as though I had broken free from chains. I was no longer bound as someone's wife or mother. There was no longer a need to appease anyone or worry about who might dislike me while they were both absent. I arranged for 3 trucks, investing tens of thousands of dollars to hire 3 Japanese moving firms. I carefully packed all my designer handbags, clothing, jewelry, skincare products, and even my baking essentials. I took a cabinet filled with high-end dishes and chopsticks that I had meticulously chosen, a selection of familiar furniture, numerous decorations I had purchased, and some expensive gifts I had bought for Ethan and Lucas. They had never appreciated these gifts, leaving them tucked away in a cabinet corner. Even if I took them, they wouldn't recognize them, so selling them secondhand seemed better, allowing them to retain some value post-divorce. If they encountered these items again in the future, it might only cause them discomfort. There was a substantial amount to pack, but fortunately, the 3 companies had ample staff. Everything was packed and loaded in under 2 hours, leaving the house suddenly vacant. When Ethan returned and saw the emptiness, he would undoubtedly notice how clean and orderly it had become. He had never liked clutter, and now everything was finally gone. I was thoughtful enough to leave sufficient space for the new occupant. Before departing the yard, I took one last glance at the villa, resolving never to return. Aunt Jung stood at the gate, watching me with tears silently streaming down her face. "Madame, are you truly leaving? Aunt Jung has been here since I moved in. She's been wonderful to me, treating me like her own daughter," she whispered. I realized that only Aunt Jung would truly be upset by my departure. Holding Aunt Jung's hands warmly, I offered a gentle smile. "You should celebrate this. It's a positive change for me." Ethan had efficiently handled the property division. Using the funds from my account, I purchased a spacious 200 square meter apartment that I had admired the previous month. The former owner had emigrated, and the place was already furnished in a charming French romantic style. I fell in love with it instantly, needing no additional decoration and being able to move in the very day I signed the contract. I swiftly arranged for the movers to transfer all my belongings. Early in the day, I enlisted a few organizers, and within half a day, everything was neatly and systematically stored. The investment had been worthwhile. Relaxing on the recliner by the French window, I gazed out at the scenery, feeling that my life could truly begin anew. Ian arrived quickly with numerous bags. After the divorce, he was the first person I confided in. Accustomed to sharing everything with him, "Why did you bring so many things?" I asked, noticing the abundance. "I thought our first meal in the new home should be prepared here," he explained, carefully placing vegetables into the refrigerator. I had also bought fruits and milk, ensuring they stayed fresh in the cold weather. Despite my initial grumbling about having a little housekeeper, something caught my attention. The box on the ground was shaking violently. Startled, I exclaimed, "Ian, the box is moving!" Ian smiled and said, "It's a gift for you. Come and open it." Though a bit nervous, the faint sound of a cat's meow drew me closer. My eyes brightened as I opened the box to reveal a golden tabby kitten. Kneeling down, I watched the affectionate cat rub against my leg, my heart melting despite Ethan's fear of cats. I never considered having a kitten, and only Ian knew my fondness for them. Hugging the cat, I laughed. "Ian, you're just like a little worm in my stomach." I spent a long time playing with the kitten, eventually naming her Marshmallow. Ian quickly prepared dinner, offering me a piece of sweet and sour pork ribs. "You're alone tonight," he said, a hint of worry in his voice, perhaps concerned I might struggle to let go. "Don't worry, I was the one who initiated the divorce. I no longer have feelings for Ethan. After the car accident, everything became so clear." Ian noticed my relaxed demeanor was genuine and smiled with relief. "I'm truly happy you've moved on. Ethan doesn't deserve you anymore. Do you want to return to the company?" Before I became pregnant, I had helped my father run the business. When I did, he handed the company over to Ian, who was only 18 and still on summer break. Despite many shareholders having doubts, my father had a vision. Within 2 months, the company's turnover had doubled or even tripled. Ian successfully managed the business while continuing his studies and emerged as a promising young entrepreneur. I longed to return, but hadn't worked for 5 years. "With your abilities, you'll get back into it quickly. Have you forgotten your potential? You shone brightly in the business world," Ian encouraged, reminding me of the exhilaration I felt when I secured my first order. I agreed to return, but 2 days later, on my father's birthday, I went home with Ian to break the news. "I'm getting a divorce," I nervously informed my parents. My father's face darkened and he raised his hand to strike me. "Dad," Ian intervened, "stop him." My mother rushed to my side, embracing me tightly. "What are you doing? You've ruined the first half of our daughter's life. She's an adult and can make her own choices. Let her live her life," she cried. Overwhelmed with emotion, I hugged her and wept. My father, with red eyes, slapped himself hard. "Dad, you're useless. You knew the Pei family was dangerous, yet you let her get close to Ethan." Feeling undeserving of blame, my mother pulled me to the sofa. "Naomi, if you want a divorce, just go through with it. Your parents have seen everything over the years. Let Ian move in to take care of you. It might be too much to ask of him otherwise. Besides, I'm strong enough to manage on my own. As for your cooking, it's a relief you didn't poison yourself." My mother didn't comment further on my cooking. I smiled awkwardly, loving to cook and experiment with recipes. Although Ethan and Lucas considered it overly dark cuisine, Ian enjoyed it, and I had continued this hobby. At that moment, Ian looked at me nervously. "Naomi, you've never lived alone, and there are still many things you need to handle at the company. It makes sense to go back. Besides, I don't even eat the food I cook, so I can't keep ordering takeout. I need to return to the company, and there are still things I need to discuss. Oh, and there's Marshmallow. I need your help with her." I nodded and agreed immediately. Ian exhaled in relief, and my mother laughed, saying, "Who else treats you like a child except Ian?" I felt my mother's words were incorrect because Ian clearly acted childishly around me. I missed the sticky rice balls we used to share every day when I was a child. Despite my busy work schedule, I hadn't felt this fulfilled in a long time. The continuous challenges and achievements kept me energized. After working overtime for several hours, I returned home to find the lights still on and Ian waiting for me. I had always been used to waiting for Ethan, but this was the first time someone had prepared a meal and waited for my return. A smile naturally formed on my face as I walked to the living room, where I saw that Ian had fallen asleep waiting for me. I quietly approached with a blanket in hand, feeling a mix of curiosity and surprise as I neared. There was Ian, lounging on a single recliner, which seemed unusually spacious. When I settled down beside him, I realized he was actually resting on a child-sized chair, with half of his legs dangling off the edge. I had never considered that Ian had grown up like this before. Observing him more closely, I noticed his well-defined physique. Lowering my gaze, I couldn't help but admire his chest muscles. As I scrutinized him, I caught Ian lifting his eyes to meet mine. His skin was flawless and pale, looking incredibly smooth. I wondered how it would feel to touch him, perhaps even leave a rosy mark if I pressed a bit harder. His bathrobe was loosely draped, revealing part of his toned abdomen, with subtle hints of a pink hue that was enticing. Just gazing at him made me feel a warm attraction, and I imagined how thrilling it would be to tease him like this. maybe even making him blush. My cheeks turned red as vivid images formed in my mind. Panicking, I shook my head vigorously, trying to dispel the thoughts. I must be imagining things, I thought, feeling a bit tipsy and confused. I bent down to cover him with the blanket. And as I looked up, our eyes met unexpectedly. Startled, I lost my balance and toppled onto Ian, my face pressed against his chest muscles, with a hint of pink near my mouth. Embarrassed, I attempted to rise, but the recliner's instability made it hard to find support. Just as I managed to lift myself slightly, the chair wobbled, causing me to fall back onto his chest. Unintentionally, my chest pressed against his, which wasn't my intention. Ian grabbed my waist firmly with his large hand, sat upright, and steadied the recliner. "Naomi, what are you doing?" His voice was rough from just waking up. I awkwardly held the blanket over my face, trying to explain, "I just wanted to cover you." He chuckled softly, his chest still moving with each laugh. It dawned on me that I was still seated on his lap. Quickly, I pulled the blanket over his head, felt a surge of anger, and swiftly got off his lap, retreating back to my room to focus on work. Over the past few days, I had been feeling more at ease, humming tunes as I walked. However, my mood darkened when I saw Ethan's car parked in our community lot. It felt like bad luck had struck. Counting down the days until I could visit the Civil Affairs Bureau for my divorce certificate, I tried to push away these thoughts. But Lucas was blocking the elevator doors, still upset and trying to prevent me from getting too emotional. He insisted I apologize, turning away from me. "I'm sorry, calling Claire Mom last time was just a joke. Who knows if you've really lost your memory? It's okay," I replied gently. Lucas looked at me, his eyes brightening as he continued. "Your dad and I are divorced, and you don't need to apologize. Whoever you choose to call Mom in the future, Claire will soon be your new mom. She's wonderful, and you really like her. Your life will be happier." He stayed by the door, not intending to leave. "Do you have anything else to do? If not, I'll close the door." Lucas's eyes widened in disbelief. "I apologized, but you didn't forgive me. You'll regret this." As I was about to shut the door, Lucas yelled angrily, "How dare you do this to me? When you remember me, don't ask for forgiveness. Even if you kneel, I won't forgive you." Hearing Lucas's harsh words for the first time, I secluded myself in my room and cried privately. I doubted whether I had failed as a mother, questioning why my son disliked me and if I wasn't worthy of being his mother. But now, my feelings had settled. I no longer wavered. The bond between Lucas and me had broken the moment he called someone else Mom. Sometimes I even suspected that Ian was trying to seduce me, though I had no proof. For instance, right now, Ian was casually dressed at home, making coffee for me. His soft white cotton t-shirt and gray pants gave him the appearance of a young male college graduate, so fresh and vibrant. I sighed as I lay on the sofa, admiring his hips and waist. It was no wonder they favored him as a model. Ian brought over the coffee, and I immediately started reading a magazine seriously. Taking a sip, I barely noticed when Marshmallow jumped onto his legs and sprawled down. My attention was captured as Marshmallow stepped on Ian's gray pants. I couldn't help but focus on that area. Suddenly, Ian leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Naomi, what are you looking at?" My ears tingled, my breathing stalled, and my eyes darted around. "The cat has grown so much," I stammered, blushing and rushing back to my room. I messaged my best friend, feeling that Ian was seducing me daily. Should I look for another man? My best friend excitedly replied, "You've finally realized that such a handsome guy has liked you for years." I was confused. Does he really like me? I thought he always saw me as a sister. I covered my chest, unsure where the happiness was coming from. This is ridiculous. Anyone with eyes can see he likes you. He acts like a shy rabbit around you, but seems fierce outside, which can be intimidating. Considering your divorce, Ian is much better than that jerk. I was very confused. Work kept me busy, and I didn't want to think about anything else. After hanging up quickly, another call came in. It was Ethan. "Naomi, Lucas has a fever and is crying for you. Can you come home?" His voice sounded desperate. Standing on the balcony, enjoying the breeze, I responded softly, "Ethan, I've called you multiple times like this. Being a first-time mother, I panic every time my baby is sick and don't know what to do. Even with the family doctor around, I still reach out to you with trembling hands, crying, hoping you'll come home. But Ethan's reaction was cold. You said you couldn't take care of yourself, so how can you not take care of Lucas, Naomi? His voice was rough. You make sense, so now I just want to take care of myself. Naomi, have you regained your memory? His tone was more cautious than ever. I haven't lost my memory, ever. I'll see you at the Civil Affairs Bureau in a month. Don't think I'll return to you after that. There's no future for us. Hearing the sound of breaking glass, I ended the call immediately, blocking his number and deciding not to contact him again for a month. From that day forward, I saw Ethan often, but he would just sit silently in his car, watching me without disrupting my life. Perhaps he was unwilling or affected by negative experiences with men, believing that what he couldn't have was for the best. In short, I now treated Ethan as a mere passerby. It was Sunday when I opened the door to find Lucas holding a large photo album. He seemed so familiar, pressing through the door's gap and sitting on the sofa. He had completely forgotten that I had asked him to kneel and beg for forgiveness during his last visit. Lucas opened the album and pulled me close. Mom, look, this is me when I was still in your belly, and this is my first photo after I was born. Aren't you adorable? He said. You were the cutest baby in the whole hospital. He hoped to rekindle my maternal love for him. However, as I looked at the photos, only sadness filled me. In the pictures, I appeared very thin, but my belly was noticeably large. I had been struggling with pregnancy symptoms, constantly vomiting and feeling exhausted. My hair was dry, and Lucas was mischievous, often kicking me during the night. Viewing these images, I couldn't help but sigh. So selfish, Mom. What did you say? Lucas looked confused. I was weak and thin in the photos because of pregnancy. And you only focused on yourself. You don't know how difficult it was for me to give birth to you after 10 months of pregnancy. During my pregnancy, Lucas showed no empathy towards me. He couldn't understand the depth of my dedication to him, displaying the same self-centeredness as his father. I shut the photo album, as those pictures only brought back painful memories. Lucas refused to leave and was eventually taken away by Pay's housekeeper. The last time he left, he was extremely reluctant. But a few days later, he returned with a ceramic plate. Mom, look, this is the plate you made for me. You said you spent an entire day on it. So why is it broken? He hesitated, but I knew he had broken it. Perhaps he thought it was too unattractive and embarrassing to bring to school. The shattered ceramic scratched my arm, leaving a fine, lasting mark. I wasn't very artistically talented. This plate was the best among the dozen I had crafted. Eventually, Ethan had bought one of my pieces for Lucas to take to school. Despite this, Lucas had painstakingly glued it back together piece by piece. No matter how much you try, once it's cracked, it can never be fully repaired. It remains flawed. So I threw it into the trash, and it shattered instantly. Since there was a new replacement, there was no need to keep the broken one. Lucas stared at the broken plate, frozen. Then, as if remembering something, he looked up at me with happiness in his eyes. Mom, did you recover your memory and remember me? I shook my head. I didn't lose my memory. I just don't want to think about you and Ethan anymore. I had no intention of saying anything more and drove him away. He left in a daze. That evening, there was a social gathering at the wine table, which Ian knew about and insisted on attending. He was worried I might drink too much, but neither of us could handle the alcohol well. Both ended up drinking and couldn't drive. Since the venue was very close to home, I supported Ian and planned to walk back. Just then, a cold wind blew, sobering me up while he was still tipsy. I casually asked him, Ian, do you like me? His dark eyes suddenly lit up, and he stared at me silently for a long moment before looking away, blushing and nodding heavily. My heart raced, and I changed the subject. What did you drink just now? After a moment, he replied, It seems to be brandy. He then leaned down obediently, looking at me with tender, full lips that looked like beautiful beads. I leaned in and kissed him. His lips were soft, like marshmallows filled with liquor, and I savored the taste by licking my lips. Ian's eyes opened wide, drunk and stunned. I said nonchalantly, "Yeah, it was really brandy." I walked forward, leaving Ian frozen in place with a blush spreading to his ears. He quickly caught up and hugged me tightly, slightly bending his body to surround me, burying his head in my neck like a happy child. He kept muttering, "Naomi, I like you so much." Once we got home, Ian seemed to sober up and pressed me against the door. "Naomi, can I kiss you?" Seeing me nod, he acted like a puppy seeing a bone, his eyes intensely passionate. He kissed his way to the bed, lightly pecking my collarbone. As if he felt me trembling, he stopped, leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Naomi," before I could push him away in the darkness. I unbuckled his belt. At the party organized by Ethan's friends, Ethan was drinking silently, overhearing the gossip around him. Suddenly, with a loud crash, Ethan overturned the table beside him. "What did you say?" "Ian is just the adopted son of the Shan family. He has always liked Naomi," someone remarked. Ethan's face immediately darkened, and his voice turned colder than ever. Furious, his eyes reddened as he threw all the bottles on the table to the ground. The atmosphere became tense. Several people saw Ethan lose his temper for the first time. Trembling and not daring to speak, Ethan suddenly thought of a devastating question. Ian had never called him brother-in-law, nor had he ever referred to Naomi's sister. Immediately, Ethan went to Ian's company. As soon as he entered the office, he grabbed Ian's collar and punched him. "You're really something. I treat you as my brother-in-law, but you actually like my sister." Ian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and smiled contemptuously. "You deserve to be my brother-in-law. Open the communication log and look at our chat history." Although puzzled, Ethan opened his phone and searched for Ian's chat page, finding it quickly since Ethan had reached out occasionally. Ethan scrolled through the messages, his face growing paler. "Accompany your sister to her prenatal checkups. She has severe pregnancy cravings and refuses to eat at home. Come over. She's depressed after giving birth. If you have time, accompany her abroad." "I don't have time." "Naomi has a fever." "Naomi is throwing a tantrum again. I don't have time to deal with her. Please go and look after her." "Naomi was in a car accident. Please take care of her." Ian had responded to every message immediately. He never initiated contact with Ethan, nor did he reach out to see Naomi. It was all Ethan who had proposed this marriage. Ian had accompanied Naomi to 14 prenatal checkups, and countless times had been asked to stay with her when she was sad. Ian had fully played the role of a husband in their marriage, only realizing it belatedly. Ethan had always resented the strong bond between the siblings, especially since Ian was the CEO of a listed company. Whenever Ethan sent a message about Naomi, Ian would immediately drop his work and come over. Ethan's hands shook as he flipped through the chat history, and Ian punched him fiercely. Ethan didn't dodge and was hit hard, staggering against the wall. Ian looked at Ethan coldly. "What do you think after reading this? I've wanted to punch you for a long time. I asked you where you were when Naomi was in labor. You were with your wife and children, but you were watching Claire's music performance abroad. I asked why she had a car accident. You left her on the highway for Claire. Where were you when she was sick and uncomfortable? When you left her again and again, did you ever think she was your wife?" A hint of bitterness touched Ethan's mouth. He wanted to refute, but these were all facts. It felt like hands were strangling his neck, a thorn in his throat, and his mind went blank. When his assistant informed him that Ethan had come to the company looking for Ian in a rage, I immediately called the security guard to go to the top floor office. "What are you doing, Ethan?" As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, I saw Ethan grabbing Ian's collar in anger. The security guard stepped forward to intervene, and I stood in front of Ian. Ian's swollen mouth was particularly noticeable on his pale face, and tears welled up in his eyes, making him look pitiful. I touched his face with a heavy heart. "Is this how you were raised?" I looked at Ethan calmly. Ethan's posture stiffened as he saw the disgust in my eyes. "Naomi, I'm hurt too." I turned my eyes away and left with Ian. The security guards escorted Ethan away and were instructed not to let irrelevant people into the company in the future. Ethan asked Lucas to come to him again, perhaps wanting to use my maternal love for Lucas to keep me, but I was no longer the same as before. "Little friend, don't come to me again. I have divorced your father, and I am no longer your mother," I told Lucas. He panicked upon hearing me call him. "Mom, I want to eat the dark food you cook. I want you to hear bedtime stories, and I want you to hold me while I sleep." "Lucas, anyone can do this. You're just not used to me not being by your side," I replied, turning to leave. Lucas grabbed my skirt, his voice choking. "No, Mom, I know I was wrong. That day was just my prank. I don't like Aunt Claire at all. I promise I won't do it again. Next time, Dad is a liar. He said you would come back after regaining your memory, but you clearly remember me, yet you don't want me anymore. Grandma Wang told me it was very hard for you when you were pregnant with me. I was too bad as a child and always made you angry." I looked down at him. "Lucas, don't wait until you lose something to learn how to cherish it." Lucas hugged my thighs, tears in his eyes. "Mom, did I lose you? This is the last lesson I teach you as your mother. I hope you will not speak ill of the people you love or those who love you. In the future, you must learn to respect others, and then others will respect you. When people are hurt, they tend to leave." Lucas wept, tears mixed with snot streaming down his face as he knelt on the ground, clutching my skirt tightly. "Mom, please give me another chance. I promise to change my bad habits and won't become like Dad. Please trust me. I'm still your child," he pleaded, helping himself to his feet. "Lucas, your father and I have separated. I will never return to that house," I responded, wiping away his tears. "If you don't want Dad, then I don't want him either. If you won't visit me, can I still see you in the future? I vow to behave. It's your choice. People can't be forced to change, but experiences can teach us valuable lessons. Without unforgettable moments, there can be no profound understanding. I just hope Lucas can set aside his pride and biases, become a better person, and not disappoint those who care about him. Don't follow in his father's footsteps again." I had secured a major contract with a client company, and as I was about to drive back, I ran into Claire. She invited me for a drink at a cafe. The last time I saw Naomi was in the hospital, and I thought Lucas was testing whether she had truly lost her memory, so I didn't object. "I sincerely need to apologize," I admitted. "I shouldn't have meddled in Ethan and Euron's lives, and I shouldn't have been tempted by money to become Lucas's mentor." Claire lowered her head and said, "You're not the reason Ethan and I divorced. Don't blame yourself." "I know you're not that kind of person. I still owe you a favor," I replied. Claire had briefly attended our class during her second year of high school. At that time, she was considered the little princess of Beijing's social circles. Despite her status, she remained humble and patient, always smiling gently, and her inner strength was unwavering. At 17, I was vain and desperately wanted to fit in with Ethan's group. They often ridiculed me, but Claire never did. She advised me to focus on myself, explaining that when you do, the world revolves around you. She clearly had a better perspective than I did. After you left, I quit that job. I realized I couldn't continue living off the pity from the Pei family. I needed to become stronger. I turned on my phone and sent Claire a file to repay her kindness. I had secretly investigated Weds Wens, a century-old company that was no longer wealthy but rather costly. The sudden collapse was suspicious. I helped Claire uncover some minor actions of her relatives abroad, leaving the rest for her to handle. The likelihood of the entire family falling apart was still high, given their background. After all, even a small camel is larger than a horse. Claire was immensely grateful when she saw the file and suddenly thought of Ethan again. "Then you and Ethan," I pointed out the window. "Ian is standing outside in a gray coat, patiently waiting for me." She smiled warmly. "I wish you happiness. Ethan isn't worth it." Claire laughed and mentioned that Ethan wanted to talk to me. Ethan recounted the good old days between us in detail, but I interrupted him. "You can revisit the past, but there's no one there anymore." Ethan grasped my hand, his voice breaking. "Naomi, I'm certain that the person I love is you. Only you." I released his hand and said seriously, "Love doesn't need to be proven. Only uncertain love requires repeated confirmation." He persisted, trying to hold on to me. "Naomi, tomorrow is my birthday. You always make me a bowl of longevity noodles on my special day." I responded, "Ethan, did you know that last Sunday was my birthday?" He slightly pursed his lips, paused for a moment, and looked regretful. "Look, the person you love most is actually yourself. I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you by throwing you the grandest birthday party. I shook my head. This isn't about birthdays anymore. No need, Ethan insisted. You still don't understand. If you miss it, you miss it. I've scheduled an appointment to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow to finalize the divorce. After leaving you, I finally learned to love myself, so please don't interfere with my life anymore. I turned around and ran to Ian, who had been waiting for me in the cold wind for a long time. I won't let him wait for me anymore. When I received the divorce certificate, I truly realized what I had lost. Even on the day we signed the agreement, I felt no fear. I always believed that once Naomi regained her memory, things would return to normal. However, I didn't expect her memory to remain intact all along. I was plunged into panic, feeling as though something precious had slipped away from my heart. People are often slow to realize things, only understanding their true value once they've lost them. I began to review her former circle of friends and the daily moments we shared. I couldn't help but laugh when I saw her vivid descriptions in our chat records. Her messages were so engaging, but I had rarely responded or even read them. Gradually, she sent fewer daily messages and eventually stopped reaching out on her own. While the desire to share doesn't vanish, it changes direction. She started confiding in Ian about the little things in her life. And unknowingly, Ian became deeply involved in Naomi's life. I didn't pay much attention, assuming they were just close friends. I always appreciated her kindness and enjoyed the love she showed me, believing she would never leave. It wasn't until I truly lost her that I realized I loved Naomi. But Naomi was gone, and Lucas had also left, saying he was going to boarding school because he didn't want to hire someone to take care of her. He believed she could manage on her own. After Lucas left, I was the only one remaining in the large house. It no longer felt like a home. The warmth was gone. Naomi had been so cruel, leaving me nothing of hers. Sometimes I envied Lucas because he could see his mother every week and call her, while I could only drink daily to numb my nerves. Her image lingered in my mind, making me feel guilty, regretful, and self-loathing for missing so many opportunities. Every night, I was heartbroken, knowing that I had met someone who loved me deeply long ago. I could have been truly happy, but I had ruined everything. Looking at the only photo of us together on our wedding day, tears streamed down my face. Why didn't my future self go back 6 years to tell Ethan not to hurt her, not to push her away, and not to let her go? If I had another chance, I would hold her hand tightly, and not even death could separate us. Unfortunately, there's no if. She got married a few months ago. I was devastated. How could this happen? I told Lucas about his mother's marriage to Ian, expecting him to feel as miserable as I did, because his mother had abandoned us. But Lucas wasn't sad. He was happy for his mother. Mom is very happy with Uncle. I hope she remains happy. Yes, even the children can see that she's happier with Ian. What right do I have to blame Naomi? I attended her wedding. I didn't get to marry her, but Ian did. Lucas volunteered to be a flower girl. The wedding was magnificent, and I didn't realize how stunning Naomi looked in her wedding dress. I wish you happiness. Thank you, she smiled. She had moved on, and I had missed out on happiness. I will never be happy in my life. This is the greatest punishment for me.